California, and a wedding in the West. Clark Gable and Carol Lombard returned from Kingman, Arizona as Mr. and Mrs. Clark Gable, and even a girl like this thinks he's wonderful.
Behind the glamour, glitter, and red carpet kisses, old Hollywood hid something much darker: betrayal. In this video, we're counting down 20 of the most dangerous cheaters in Hollywood's golden age. These weren't just affairs. They were scandals that wrecked marriages, destroyed careers, and sometimes ended in violence. From secret love children to steamy backstage betrayals, these legends played dangerous games with love and often lost more than they ever admitted. You think modern celebrity drama is wild? Wait until you hear what the stars of yesterday were really up to. Stick around. The truth is messier than the movies. Clark Gable, the king of affairs. Clark Gable was the king of the silver screen and the king of cheating behind it. With that devilish grin, rugged charm, and deep voice, he was Hollywood's ultimate man's man. But behind his masculine image was a tangled web of secret lovers, public betrayals, and one child hidden for decades. Gable was married 5 times, but that didn't stop him from having countless affairs. The most infamous? His romance with Loretta Young during the filming of Call of the Wild in 1935. Young became pregnant, a scandal in an era where a single actress with a baby could see her career destroyed. So, she vanished from public view, gave birth in secret, and later staged an adoption of her own daughter, Judy Lewis. Gable never acknowledged the child, even privately. For years, Judy believed something was wrong with her appearance, her large ears, her famous jawline, until she discovered the truth. It was the lie that hurt the most, she later said. Hollywood knew, studios knew, but everyone stayed quiet. Gable continued his legacy as a charismatic rogue, but beneath the glamour was a man who left deep scars. His legend lived on, but so did the damage. And from a Hollywood king's secret baby, we move to a woman once adored by America, until one love affair changed everything. Ingrid Bergman, America's sweetheart, turned scandal. Queen Ingrid Bergman had the face of an angel and the resume to match. Casablanca, Gaslight, Spellbound. For years, she was seen as wholesome, pure, the very image of grace. But in 1949, all of that shattered when she began an affair with married Italian director Roberto Rossellini, while still married herself. They fell in love during the filming of Stromboli. She became pregnant, and the fallout was explosive. In a moral panic, Bergman was publicly denounced by U.S. Congress as an agent of immorality. The press turned on her. Religious leaders condemned her. Even her own fans abandoned her. She went from sweetheart to sinner overnight. "I left America to make a movie and became the most hated woman in the country," she said. The scandal forced her into exile. Hollywood closed its doors. She married Rossellini and tried to rebuild her career in Europe. But the damage had been done. Only years later, with Anastasia, did she earn redemption and a second Oscar. Her affair was passionate, but it burned everything around her. And next, we turn to another actress who lived behind a carefully managed image and who cheated not only her husbands, but her public persona. Joan Crawford, secret lovers and open marriages. Joan Crawford was the epitome of control, sharp, elegant, always in charge. But when it came to love, her private life was a storm of cheating, secrecy, and emotional chaos. During her marriages, especially to actors like Franchot Tone, Crawford engaged in multiple affairs. She was linked to actors, directors, and even women, though she never confirmed the rumors. The gossip columns buzzed with whispers of lovers slipping through the back doors of her estate. One studio insider said, "Joan didn't believe in monogamy, she believed in survival." Some say she used affairs as leverage in her career. Others believed she was searching for something she never truly found. Her betrayals became public knowledge, and over time, they damaged her relationships and reputation alike. Her icy image as a perfectionist, later weaponized by her daughter in Mommy Dearest, was built on a real sense of detachment from love, from trust, and from long-term emotional stability. Joan may have commanded every scene, but off-screen, her love life was a series of betrayals she never fully owned. From icy ambition to reckless obsession, our next star turned cheating into an adrenaline sport, with results that landed him in court. Errol Flynn, dangerously addicted to infidelity. Errol Flynn was the very definition of wild. He lived fast, drank hard, and seduced everyone in sight, often without asking permission. His affairs weren't just scandalous, they were dangerous. He was married 3 times, but fidelity was never on the table. Flynn had affairs with dozens, possibly hundreds, of women, many of them shockingly young. His behavior was so reckless, he was twice brought to trial for statutory rape. Though acquitted, the testimonies painted a deeply disturbing picture of a man who saw women as playthings. "He was a wolf in tailored suits," one actress said. "You never said no to Errol, because it wouldn't matter." The phrase, "in like Flynn," became shorthand for seduction, but behind the catchphrase was a legacy of predatory behavior that cast a long shadow over his fame. Flynn's legend lived on, but his love life was a cautionary tale, not just of infidelity, but of exploitation. And finally, we arrive at a woman whose cheating didn't just end marriages. It set off a media firestorm that shook the entire industry. Elizabeth Taylor, the serial husband stealer. Elizabeth Taylor was Hollywood royalty. Violet eyes, killer curves, and a magnetism that no man could seem to resist. But she didn't just fall in love. She fell hard, fast, and usually with someone else's husband. Her most infamous scandal began after the tragic death of her 3rd husband, Mike Todd. Grieving and vulnerable, she turned to his best friend, singer Eddie Fisher. The only problem? He was married to America's sweetheart, Debbie Reynolds. The affair exploded into national headlines. Fisher left Reynolds for Taylor, and the public turned on them both. Taylor was branded a home wrecker. She didn't flinch. "You can't break up a happy marriage," she famously said. But karma came quickly. Not long after, Taylor met Richard Burton while filming Cleopatra and left Fisher without a second thought. Another marriage. Another scandal. Taylor was married 8 times to 7 men, but her pattern was the same. Passion, betrayal, heartbreak, usually in that order. She may have been loved by millions, but her love life left a trail of broken hearts and tabloid gold. Coming up next, the tough guy of film noir who betrayed his wife for a woman who would change his legacy forever. Humphrey Bogart, broken vows with Lauren Bacall. Humphrey Bogart may have become one half of one of Hollywood's most beloved couples, but before he found legendary love with Lauren Bacall, he was still very much a married man to actress Mao Methot. And their marriage? Pure fire, and not the good kind. Methot was known in Hollywood as sluggy, thanks to her explosive temper and heavy drinking. Bogart wasn't much better, battling alcoholism himself, often slipping into dark moods and violent arguments. Their home life was filled with broken bottles, slammed doors, and whispered rumors of bruises. Then Bacall arrived. She was 19. He was 44. They met on the set of To Have and Have Not, and the chemistry was instant. Bogart fell fast and hard, but he was still married. What followed was a messy, drawn-out betrayal. Methot, upon discovering the affair, allegedly once threatened Bacall with a knife. Bogart moved between the 2 women until finally divorcing Methot and marrying Bacall. She gave him peace, a friend later said, but he gave up peace to get there. Though Bogart and Bacall went on to become a golden couple, their story began with infidelity, chaos, and heartbreak. Proof that even true love can have a dangerous beginning. And now, from a man torn between 2 women, we shift to a woman whose lovers included mobsters, actors, and a fatal family tragedy. Lana Turner, lovers, lies, and a mafia. Hit Lana Turner was no stranger to scandal. With a soft voice, stunning looks, and a trail of high-profile lovers, she seemed to live inside the pages of the tabloids. But her most dangerous affair ended with a knife, a dead man, and a courtroom drama that stunned the world. Turner's love life was a carousel of failed marriages and passionate affairs, but none more infamous than her relationship with gangster Johnny Stompanato. Stompanato was violent, possessive, and had deep ties to the mob. Friends warned her. She didn't listen. Their fights were brutal and public. The final one happened in April 1958, in Turner's Beverly Hills home. Her daughter, 14-year-old Cheryl Crane, heard the shouting, saw her mother in danger, and stabbed Stompanato in the stomach. He died on the spot. The headlines exploded. Lana was painted as both victim and vixen. The inquest ruled the killing justifiable homicide, but the damage was done. Turner's image was forever changed, and while the scandal nearly ended her career, it also reignited public interest. She returned to the screen stronger than ever, but her private life was never the same. She lived with glamour, one columnist wrote, but slept beside chaos. From gangsters and knives to broken vows on Broadway, our next cheater was brilliant, charismatic, and completely incapable of staying faithful. Marlon Brando. Chaos in every relationship. Marlon Brando didn't just break hearts. He set them on fire and walked away before the flames cooled. With his smoldering looks and explosive talent, he was irresistible. But his love life was a whirlwind of affairs, betrayals, and emotional wreckage. Brando married 3 times, but those were just the official unions. He fathered at least 11 children. Some he acknowledged, others he didn't. He once admitted, "I couldn't be faithful to save my life," and he meant it. He had affairs with countless actresses, often stealing women from friends and co-stars. His relationship with Rita Moreno was so toxic that she attempted suicide after discovering he was cheating, yet she still returned to him more than once. Brando also reportedly had relationships with men, though he rarely discussed it publicly. He left emotional destruction in every direction. Women heartbroken, children estranged, marriages wrecked. He had love, said one former partner, but no idea how to hold it. Brando's on-screen brilliance couldn't hide the personal chaos behind it. He wasn't just a cheater, he was a force of destruction. From chaos and confessions, we move to a woman whose revenge affairs were as calculated as they were explosive. Ava Gardner, dangerous beauty with a wild heart. Ava Gardner was called the world's most beautiful animal, and she lived like it. Wild, seductive, and unapologetic, she tore through Hollywood's leading men like a storm with a martini in hand. Her most famous marriage, to Frank Sinatra, was passionate and volatile, but even before that, she had left a trail of cheating and revenge. She reportedly cheated on Mickey Rooney during their brief marriage and later admitted she had affairs to get back at controlling lovers. During her time with Sinatra, their mutual betrayals made headlines, fights, screaming matches, disappearances. It was war disguised as romance. "We were a match made in hell," she once said, "but it burned so good." Gardner also had high-profile affairs with bullfighters, royals, and studio executives. And while she never apologized for her choices, the damage was real. Friends said she left hearts broken across 3 continents. She wasn't just dangerous because she cheated. She was dangerous because she didn't care if the world watched. And now, from reckless love to a deeply complicated devotion, we turn to a man who stayed married for life, but never stayed faithful. Spencer Tracy. Devout Catholic, secret serial cheater. Spencer Tracy had the face of a man you could trust. Strong, steady, thoughtful. But his personal life told a very different story. He was married once to Louise Treadwell and remained legally tied to her until his death. But he also spent 26 years in a secret, unspoken relationship with Katharine Hepburn. Though their romance was Hollywood's worst-kept secret, Tracy refused to divorce his wife due to his devout Catholic beliefs. Publicly, he was seen as a loyal husband. Privately, he carried on multiple affairs, drank heavily to drown his guilt, and left emotional damage in his wake. "I loved him," Hepburn once said, "but I never had all of him." She never asked him to leave his wife. He never did. Instead, they lived in the in-between, loyal, but never truly free. Tracy died in Hepburn's arms, but in the end, both women in his life lived with half of him and half the truth. Rita Hayworth, Betrayals Behind the Beauty. Rita Hayworth lit up the screen like few others. Known as the ultimate bombshell in Gilda, she was desired by millions, but deeply misunderstood. Her love life wasn't just messy, it was heartbreaking. Hayworth married 5 times, each relationship unraveling under the weight of betrayal, both hers and theirs. But it was her marriage to Prince Ali Khan, the playboy son of the Aga Khan, that brought her the most public pain. The world swooned at the idea of a Hollywood princess marrying royalty, but reality hit fast. Khan's infidelities became an open secret. Hayworth, exhausted from being cheated on, walked away, taking their daughter with her. "Men go to bed with Gilda, but they wake up with me," she once said. That quote, famous now, reflected her deepest pain, the idea that no one truly loved her for who she was. She allegedly had affairs of her own, some say out of revenge, others out of loneliness. Her later relationships never lasted. Her trust was gone, her heart guarded. Behind that stunning smile was a woman repeatedly betrayed, used, and left standing alone, even as she was worshipped on the silver screen. And from royalty to rage. Our next name was a crooner who broke vows, broke hearts, and didn't care who watched. Frank Sinatra, a love life of the collateral damage. Frank Sinatra didn't just sing about love, he destroyed it, one affair at a time. Known for his velvet voice and mob connections, Old Blue Eyes had a reputation for falling in love fast and cheating even faster. He was married 4 times, and almost every union came with betrayal. His affair with Ava Gardner during his marriage to Nancy Sinatra was explosive. It shattered his first marriage and destroyed his image as a family man. Gardner, fiery and volatile, matched his chaos with her own. They fought hard, loved harder, and hurt each other in ways that lasted a lifetime. "We were poison for each other," Gardner once said. "But the kind you drink anyway." Even after they split, Sinatra's cheating didn't stop. Affairs with actresses, models, even socialites kept his name in the tabloids. He was magnetic and dangerous. Women were drawn to him, even when they knew better. His temper was legendary. So were his mood swings. His marriages to Mia Farrow and later Barbara Marx were both rocked by infidelities and public blowouts. Frank may have been a romantic on stage, but in real life, love was a war zone, and he always left bodies behind. From ballads to battles, we now turn to a woman who didn't just cheat. She used love like a chessboard, and always played to win. Bette Davis, Dangerous Games of Love and Revenge. Bette Davis was fire in human form. Fierce, brilliant, and sharp-tongued, she brought that same intensity to her private life. And when it came to love, she didn't just fall. She conquered, manipulated, and sometimes destroyed. Davis had multiple marriages and a long list of affairs, many with the directors she worked with. These relationships weren't just personal, they were political. She knew the power she held and how to use it. She had an affair with director William Wyler during the filming of Jezebel, a romance that helped fuel her Oscar-winning performance. But it also shattered Wyler's marriage and left Davis emotionally wrecked when he moved on. "I was never good at casual," she once admitted. "Love was always all or nothing." Her lovers often found themselves at the mercy of her ambition. When things soured, she didn't forgive. She scorched the earth. Careers were ruined, reputations damaged, and more than one ex said Bet loved like a storm. Thrilling at first, devastating in the end. She was never just cheated, she cheated back, and harder. And now, from a woman who ruled with her heart to a man who let his demons lead the way, we look at Hollywood's first great tragic romantic, John Barrymore, the great lover and great betrayer. John Barrymore was the original heartthrob, stage legend, screen icon, and romantic fantasy for millions. But behind the romantic roles was a man who couldn't stop betraying the people closest to him. He married 4 times. Each marriage started with fire and ended in ashes. Infidelity was constant. Drinking made everything worse. He'd disappear for days, sometimes weeks, re-emerging with lipstick on his collar and alcohol on his breath. He couldn't stay faithful to a mirror, said one ex-wife. He loved the idea of love, but not the work it took to keep it. Barrymore had affairs with actresses, dancers, even extras. His betrayal wasn't just sexual, it was emotional. He would promise the world, then disappear when things got real. Toward the end of his life, he was a shadow of the man he'd been. Broke, sick, and alone, his death was seen as a tragedy. But for those who knew him intimately, it was the ending they feared was coming all along. From one icon's fall from grace, we move to a woman whose life and love story ended in whispers, scandals, and the mystery of a man who may have died for her. Jean Harlow. Love torn between men. Jean Harlow was Hollywood's original platinum blonde, young, dazzling, and always caught in some kind of romantic storm. But none of her love stories were as strange or tragic as the one that ended in death. In 1932, Harlow married MGM executive Paul Byrne. Just 2 months after their wedding, Byrne was found dead at their home with a gunshot wound to the head. Officially ruled a suicide, the circumstances never quite added up. Rumors swirled that Harlow had been cheating. Some said Byrne had discovered it. Others believed he had a dark past that caught up with him. To this day, people debate whether it was suicide, murder, or a studio cover-up. She was caught in something much bigger than her, one reporter wrote at the time. After Byrne's death, Harlow was linked to Clark Gable, with whispers of an affair between the two during filming. She tried to move on, but tragedy followed her. She died just 5 years later at 26 from kidney failure. Her body worn down, her heart perhaps more so. Her story was short, glamorous, and soaked in unanswered questions. Just like her love life. Up next, we enter the shadowy world of a starlet who kept her affairs behind closed doors, but whose betrayals were no less powerful. Greta Garbo. Secrets, scandals, and silent betrayals. Greta Garbo wasn't loud about love. She was a whisper in a world of shouting. Famously private, intensely reclusive, and known for the quote, "I want to be alone," Garbo's public image was one of icy detachment. But behind the curtain, her romantic life was anything but quiet. Garbo never married, but her love life was full of scandal. Whispered affairs with both men and women, many of them shrouded in secrecy. Her deepest relationships, like the one with actress Mercedes de Acosta, were hidden from the public eye but known to Hollywood insiders. Letters, coded language, private meetings. It was all part of a life she kept deliberately in the shadows. Some of those entanglements overlapped. Betrayals didn't make headlines, but they echoed behind closed doors. "She didn't cheat like others. She ghosted you in the middle of the romance," one former friend said. Garbo was fiercely independent and walked away from relationships without warning. She craved intimacy, but resisted it. Her affairs often left her lovers devastated and confused. She betrayed not with noise, but with silence. And while the world remembers her for elegance and mystery, those closest to her knew the truth. Greta Garbo didn't just break hearts. She left them wondering if they ever knew her at all. And now, we move from quiet betrayal to classic Hollywood charm. and a man whose good looks masked decades of infidelity and confusion. Tyrone Power, charm, affairs, and secret scandals. Tyrone Power had the kind of face that made people fall in love instantly. Handsome, soft-spoken, and magnetic on screen, he was the ultimate matinee idol. But his personal life was far messier than the roles he played. Power married 3 times, and each marriage ended under the weight of affairs, secrecy, and exhaustion. Even during his second marriage to Linda Christian, he had a very public romance with Lana Turner, a betrayal that turned into a PR nightmare. Photos of them dancing together surfaced just as his wife gave birth. The scandal rocked his image. But Turner wasn't the only one. Power had a long list of rumored affairs, with actresses, dancers, even royals. Some whispered he led a double life, hiding same-sex relationships in a time when careers were ruined by such rumors. He wanted love, but not the consequences, said one studio insider. He couldn't stay still long enough to be faithful. Power died young, at just 44, collapsing on a film set in Spain. But by then, his love life had already become part of his legend. A beautiful mask, worn over deep chaos. From the golden boy to the woman who gave everything and got betrayal in return. Our next story turns cold. Barbara Stanwyck, secret love and public betrayal. Barbara Stanwyck was known for playing tough women, and she lived like one too. Sharp, independent, and fiercely private, she spent years married to actor Robert Taylor. To the public, they were the perfect Hollywood couple. But the truth behind closed doors was something else entirely. Taylor, charming and ambitious, was unfaithful for most of the marriage. He had affairs with co-stars, fans, and even, as rumored, men. Stanwyck knew, and for a long time, she stayed silent. Friends say she loved him deeply, even as the betrayals piled up. She tried to save the marriage, but eventually, the weight of his infidelities cracked the foundation. After their divorce, Stanwyck never remarried. He was the love of her life, said a close friend. But he broke her heart more than once. Stanwyck buried the pain in work, throwing herself into roles that mirrored her real-life strength. But those who knew her say the betrayal hardened her forever. And from a hardened woman to a man whose life was all charm, until the whispers turned into headlines. Cary Grant, rumors, affairs, and secret lives. Cary Grant looked like perfection. Suave, composed, charming, the very image of a gentleman. But behind the scenes, his love life was anything but polished. Grant married 5 times, and nearly every marriage ended in accusations of infidelity, emotional withdrawal, or secret affairs. He was famously linked to fellow actor Randolph Scott, with whom he shared a home for over a decade. While never publicly confirmed, many suspected the relationship was romantic. At the same time, Grant had affairs with women throughout Hollywood. His marriages to actresses like Diane Cannon and Betsy Drake collapsed under the strain of distance, secrecy, and his refusal to open up emotionally. He was always 2 people, one ex-wife said. The man you thought you knew, and the one who kept everything hidden. He wasn't cruel, just unreachable. That inaccessibility became its own kind of betrayal. Grant's legacy is still debated today, not just for what he did, but for what he never admitted. And finally, we end with a woman whose ambition was unmatched, and whose relationships were often more about power than passion. Gloria Swanson, ambition and affairs. Colliding. Gloria Swanson was a silent film queen, and she never let love get in the way of getting what she wanted. In an era when women were supposed to be submissive, Swanson made it clear she was running the show. Her most infamous affair was with Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., father of future President John F. Kennedy. While Kennedy was married, he bankrolled Swanson's career and produced several of her films. Their relationship was passionate and political. Swanson didn't just fall in love, she used love. Affairs with studio heads, directors, and fellow actors often overlapped. Partners were betrayed, promises were broken, and reputations were sacrificed. "She didn't cheat out of lust," said a Hollywood biographer. "She cheated out of strategy. Her ambition often came first, and love second, if at all. She left a trail of men who thought they had her heart, only to find themselves replaced by the next opportunity." Swanson's betrayal wasn't personal, it was business, and she never apologized. Love in old Hollywood was never simple, and these cheaters proved it could be downright dangerous. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the scandals, betrayals, and untold stories, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let us know in the comments who shocked you most. Until next time, stay curious.